Token maxing, depending on who you ask, is either the evidence of being an expert in agentic engineering, living on the bleeding edge, and being massively more productive than everyone else.
If you can token max, it's like, I mean, you could buy millions of years of consciousness.
Every engineer is going to have 100 agents.
Usually every night I have like a few thousand that are doing kind of deeper work.
Or the most wasteful spending and the dumbest idea of our time. AI tokens are very costly. Companies are burning through their budget faster than anything they have ever seen before, and they are getting shocked by the bill. Yet we still see leaders across the industry telling their employees to use more tokens.
Many companies are incentivizing people to use AI by counting tokens.
I am going to probably use $300 million of Anthropic this year.
Effectively fund unlimited tokens for everybody.
What on earth is happening here? In this video, as someone who's been working deeply inside of the AI industry and been engaging with many companies in their AI adoption journey, I will try to unpack what's happening, some of the dark secrets behind the curtains, and give some honest recommendations for both leaders and individual contributors on what are the right things to do. Let's first look at the ecosystem of tokens. It all starts with you, the end user, who's sending the prompts to the large language models, which generate tokens and get some work done for you. Most people use one of the frontier models, so one way or another, you are paying companies like OpenAI or Anthropic for the tokens that you use. Large language models run in massive data centers, operated by what's called hyperscalers like AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure, because generating tokens requires a lot of computation. So OpenAI and Anthropic are paying the hyperscalers for the compute they use. These data centers host a lot of GPUs to run the computations that generate tokens. They buy the GPUs from chip makers like NVIDIA and AMD. Google is the only one who has everything here, by the way. Across this food chain, I think the chip makers have the simplest yet safest business model. They take purchase orders and sell chips. Every transaction makes them money. When it comes to hyperscalers, it's no longer so simple. Let's say Microsoft spends a bunch of money to buy GPUs from NVIDIA and put them into Azure. They will only make the money back if someone else actually wants to use those GPUs and pay for the compute. This is where things are getting a little bit interesting and dark. In order to guarantee their GPUs will get used, Microsoft, quote unquote, invested $13 billion in OpenAI, most of which comes in the form of Azure compute credits. So Microsoft gave a bunch of money to OpenAI, and OpenAI will give it back whenever they run their GPT models through Azure. And when they give it back, it's recorded as revenue for Microsoft. So let's get it straight. Microsoft used their own money to buy compute from themselves, but through OpenAI's hands. They are neither making money nor losing money here, because it's all from themselves. But their revenue number suddenly keeps going up because real transactions happened, which looks good to their investors and helps them attract more money to do more ambitious things. It's a circular game of capital. And now OpenAI is playing the exact same game. They just offered to quote-unquote invest $2 million in every YC company in the current batch, and in the form of token credits. The exact same playbook they learned from Microsoft is now being played on many AI startups. Money moves from the left pocket to the right, and revenue keeps going up. The same thing is happening between AWS, Google, Microsoft, and Anthropic as well. All the hyperscalers, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, are all investors in Anthropic. Just look at this. Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Anthropic announce strategic partnerships. Anthropic to scale Claude on Azure. Anthropic to adopt NVIDIA architecture. NVIDIA and Microsoft to invest in Anthropic. Anthropic has committed to purchase $30 billion of Azure compute capacity. Money goes in, money flows back. They literally spelled out how the game is played here. A game where some of the smartest people get together and make numbers go up for everyone. This game, however, only keeps going if people actually use AI. When people pay Anthropic for tokens, Anthropic's revenue goes up directly, and Dario here is happy. Microsoft Azure's revenue also goes up because Anthropic is paying them for the compute, so Satya here is also happy. And it creates demand for more NVIDIA GPUs, so Jensen here is also happy. The entire food chain is happy as long as you keep paying for more and more tokens. And you know who else is happy? The investors. Sequoia Capital has been one of the most vocal investors about token maxing. We all should be token maxing, said Sonia Huang, a partner at Sequoia Capital. Huang said Sequoia has its own leaderboard, as do many of the portfolio companies she advises. And let's look at companies they invested in. Anthropic, NVIDIA, OpenAI. I wonder why they tell people to token max. Here we are, an entire industry with all the tech giants and massive capital all set up with an incentive to see more tokens being used. So of course, what happens next is that they would start to do everything they can to convince more people to burn more tokens. The first and easiest thing to do is to lead by example. All these AI companies started asking their own employees to use AI heavily without limit. And then they would go on podcasts and interviews to tell other companies how behind they all are.
You should token max.
Just giving engineers as many tokens as possible.
And that's a lot of fun. I hit 250 million one day.
You deploy 1 billion tokens of intelligence a day.
That's how this all began. But these tech giants aren't the only ones token maxing. We see many small startups and individuals also using tokens heavily. They don't have the same incentives as the AI companies whose business depends on more tokens being burned. Small teams do so because of a different incentive: subsidization. When an individual user on a small team pays for tokens from one of the frontier LLM providers, they mostly pay for one of the monthly subscriptions, which are heavily subsidized. With a $200 per month subscription from Anthropic or OpenAI, and if you use it heavily, you can get thousands of dollars worth of tokens. For users who paid for these subsidized subscriptions, they are paying a fixed price regardless of how many tokens they use. Even though the return starts to diminish after a certain point, there's no reason not to keep burning tokens until they hit the limit. So why do LLM providers offer these subsidized subscriptions? That's clearly losing money, right? Right? Wrong. If you think people like Dario and Sam Altman will ever create a business strategy where they lose money, think again. They offered these subsidized subscriptions to create the biggest marketing campaign that the world has ever seen. You see, if Anthropic and OpenAI tell other companies to use more tokens, they will be seen as salesmen trying to sell their own product. But if many startup companies who move very fast and keep launching cool stuff all tell the same token maxing story and show how many agents they run, how much work got automated, how productive they felt, that's different. That creates something magical we call FOMO. Fear of missing out is probably the best way to describe the feeling of leaders at most enterprise companies right now. They look at big tech and see everyone token maxing. They then look at small startups. Everyone's also token maxing. Then they look at themselves. I have thousands of employees, yet this 5-person startup is shipping features faster than my company. Why? Oh, because they are using AI like crazy. I must catch up. Little did they know, they are the only ones paying the bill in this entire game. You see, when one of these AI companies burn their own tokens and computes, they are obviously not making money. When the individuals and small teams on subsidized subscriptions burn tokens, the AI companies also don't make much money. They may even end up losing some money on those users who burn thousands of dollars of tokens on a $200 plan. So who do they make money from? It's obviously the enterprises. When Anthropic and OpenAI sell tokens to enterprise companies like Uber, they do not offer the $200 fixed priced subscription. They charge by API pricing instead, which is token-based and an order of magnitude more expensive than the subsidized subscriptions. These poor enterprise companies end up paying for literally everyone else. The profit of this entire food chain depends on enterprise companies adopting AI and token maxing as much as they can. So the AI companies spent a ton of money and put in so much thought, planning, and careful execution into creating the narrative that token maxing is what everyone should do to survive the AI era. And it's working. It's working very, very well. Now, with the understanding of how the AI industry works, let me share my recommendation for what you should do. Listen carefully now because these are the real valuable parts of this video. For leaders at enterprise companies, you need to understand that the entire world has been carefully shaped to convince you that you are not spending enough on AI, and using more tokens is the only solution to survive and win. It has some truth to it. AI is a real technological revolution, and using it well can indeed transform your business. But it's not as simple as burning more tokens. So don't make the mistake of building a token usage leaderboard. For one, leaderboards only reward outliers who typically get there by gaming the metric. And second, token usage is not even a productivity metric. This study from Jellyfish that looked at over 7,000 engineers reported that the developers who spend the most tokens are generating roughly twice the output at 10 times the cost. They are often burning a ton of tokens because it's free for them and they get to look cool. But I get it. You need your company to leverage AI better and there is real gain to be had. I agree. To measure your company's AI adoption, what you need is a dashboard that tracks in aggregate how many people are not using AI at all, using it occasionally, using it regularly, or using it as a primary way of work. Just looking at the size of these 4 buckets and how they shift over time will give you visibility into your progress. You also need to put more attention on business outcomes. How many teams hit their OKRs ahead of time? How many teams exceeded their targets? How many teams started setting much more aggressive goals that you previously couldn't imagine? Understanding the AI usage patterns that correlated with those teams' success will give you much better insights into what actually works versus not. You also should put in some guardrails for cost. Give people generous usage quotas to experiment and get work done, but not unlimited. The quota creates an incentive for your power users to also look into how things can be done more efficiently, not just how to spend more tokens in any way possible. Lastly, don't just fire your people. By the way, for anyone who wants to better understand the driving forces behind layoffs, I have a previous video talking in depth about it. I'll provide a link here. Instead of copying others and starting to do AI layoffs, you should learn to invest in your people who already understand your business and systems. For people who haven't figured out how to use AI regularly yet, give them proper training done by people around them who have figured it out. For people who already use AI heavily, empower them to keep charging ahead by removing outdated processes and other factors that are slowing them down. You already have many AI native engineers in your team, but they can't get more done simply because your entire company was structured to move slowly. Ownership boundaries, politics, quarterly planning, cross-team dependencies, and how many stakeholders need to align and sign off for a single feature to ship. Until you tear down those roadblocks, no amount of tokens will allow you to operate at a startup speed. Now, for individual contributors, here's my advice. If you haven't seriously adopted AI in your workflows yet, you do need to learn and play with it. Initially, you may find it less productive than just doing work by yourself, but it's the learning curve at play, which has happened in every technological revolution. You don't want to be still running your handcrafting workshop when the world is moving to steam-powered factories. You don't want to be calculating numbers by hand when the world is starting to use computers and spreadsheets. You can hate some of the negative effects AI is bringing, but you can't ignore the fact that AI is happening. And even if it bursts like the dot-com bubble, the internet still remains, and people who refuse to adopt it would still have a massive disadvantage. If you are already using AI heavily, you should avoid using tokens as a measure of success. For one, it may make you overlook the quality of your work, and you end up becoming the person who gets a bad reputation among your peers for sending a bunch of slop PRs that everyone else hates to review. Secondly, your company and leadership ultimately care about business success and cost efficiency. If you only count tokens, your output would start to misalign with that, and it won't be good for your career. What you should be doing instead is to create success stories where AI adoption translates to real business success. Help your team exceed its goal ahead of time. Improve the engineering efficiency for everyone around you. Finally solve the painful tech debt project that no one dares to touch. Leaders who started spending on AI will soon start to look for such success stories, and you will gain a lot of visibility and a big boost in your career if you are able to fill the blank. If anything is slowing you down, escalate to your leaders that your velocity is outpacing everything around you, and work with them to evolve their organization. They will thank you and reward you for it. That's everything about token maxing. I hope you find it useful. If you have any questions I haven't covered yet, feel free to leave a comment or reply under my tweet, which I'll link in description. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.